Hi, Noelle. Thank you so much for coming in today to your first session. Um, as you already know, my name is Andrea. I am the therapist that you signed up to work with, and I wanted to start by saying thank you so much for filling out all of the confidentiality forms and all of the paperwork that allows me to get to know you a little bit more and why you're here. I really appreciate the time that it took. I know that's a lot of effort. I wanted to start by setting the agenda, which is something that I generally do in my sessions. And if that's something that you don't like, you can always let me know. But right now, for this part of the session, I'm going to start by letting you know how this therapy session is going to go. How does that sound to you?
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. So, first, we are going to just go over some conversation about legalities and confidentiality. Then we are going to conduct an assessment just to understand why you're here and what's been going on. Then I will give you my diagnostic impressions and we can talk about setting some broad goals, and then we can create an action plan and establish expectations. And that's when you can decide if you would like to move forward with me and what type of therapy would be best for you. And finally, we'll end with some feedback from you to me. Okay. How does any questions about any of that? Okay. So to start, we are going to talk about confidentiality. So anything that you discuss here, it's going to stay between us unless it is court ordered that I have to disclose the information, and that will be the least amount of information possible. If there is an imminent harm to yourself or others, or if there has been abuse to a vulnerable population, such as children or elderly people. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. And I do apologize. I know this type of session, it seems like there's a lot of talking on my end, but this type of session is called an evaluation session. So it's not actually a real therapy session yet. This is just going to let us know how we're going to proceed in the future. And because we do want to stay focused on just the evaluation session, we won't be doing any problem solving today. So if I do end up interrupting you during this session, I'm not trying to be rude. It's just we have to move the session along, and then we can get into more depth at the first therapy session. But if you don't like that, please just communicate that you don't like it. Okay? So, what brings you in to therapy?
Um, I feel like I just don't have enough time in my day to be able to do everything that I need to get done, and I feel very overwhelmed.
Okay, thank you for telling me that. Can you tell me a little bit of what one of your days looks like?
Well, I work full time and I'm also a mom and a wife, so I feel like I just don't have enough time to be able to be all three roles in one day to be able to fulfill everyone's needs plus mine. My day consists of going to work in the morning. I start my day pretty early, like 3:30 in the morning. I get up and my shift starts at 5:30, and then I have to go to work for my 10-hour shift, and then it's another hour to get home. So I get home around 6 p.m. and then I have to be a mom, and I have to feed my kids, and then I have to bathe them, and I do get support from my spouse, but it's also very hard because during the time I'm already really exhausted and my day's kind of really routine.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That sounds like a lot. 10 hours, 10 hour shift, and then all the different hats that you have on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What does your weekend look like?
My weekend's really relaxed, but it's also catching up with all the things I didn't get done during the week, such as laundry, cleaning up the house, picking up the kids' toys, tidying up. Also, cleaning up the kitchen because it was a mess from the week. Um, just so usually that. I mean, it is more laid back and relaxing. It's not like I'm doing everything all at once, but it's just always having to do something.
Okay.
But I do have a 3-day weekend, which is nice. So I usually choose my Saturday to do everything, and then Sunday I get to relax a little more.
Okay. And what kind of support? I know you said you have your husband. What other kind of support do you have?
Just my husband. I mean, I do have my mom who watches the kids, but that's pretty much all she does. I don't have any other support outside of my husband.
Okay. And what kind of activities do you do out when you do activities? Maybe church or.
I don't go to church. My activities, I mean, I really would like to take walks again, but I also feel like that takes away from being with the kids. They don't like to go for walks with me. So I feel kind of selfish when I choose to do something for myself. I like to go for walks, but the kids want to go to the park. If they see I'm going outside, they want to go to the park. And so it's hard to find time to want to do something for myself and not involve them, because it makes me feel guilty that I'm not like with them.
Yeah. It sounds like you don't have a lot of time to just focus on yourself.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
When I take a shower, they want to come upstairs with me and sit on the bed, which is fine. It's not like I need time alone in the shower, but I just really don't have time to like read a book and relax and watch a show. It'll get interrupted.
Mm. So, what would you say are your goals for therapy?
um, I don't really know what my goals would be. Maybe to be more mindful with my time, be more accepting of the fact that it's maybe like this for now, but it won't be like this forever type of thing, or being understanding with myself if I do want to take time, understanding that it's okay to take time for myself.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and write that down as some of your goals so that we can go back to that as well. I did want to talk about one of the assessments that you filled out. It's the PHQ-9, and I see here that you say that you feel sad a lot and that you actually do express that you sometimes feel depressed. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and that it's affecting your sleep?
I get very overstimulated with the children sometimes when they constantly want me, or when I'm trying to do something for myself. Like if I get out of the shower and I want to do like my skin routine or something that takes a little more time, or blow dry my hair because I want to straighten it for the day, for like the next work day or something, and I just want my attention. I get very overwhelmed, and then I get kind of like sad, and I'll start crying because I feel like I just couldn't have that moment to breathe, to do something I wanted to do. And then sleeping just is really hard because my kids want to sleep in my bed and they just don't make me feel comfortable, and then I'll move them out of my bed and then they come back in.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get sleep.
Yeah, I think that all makes sense. And so, from what I'm hearing you say, some of your goals, like we said, we would talk about some goals today, is trying to learn to be more mindful and also learn to manage your time so you have more time for yourself, and also work on some of those depressed thoughts. And what one of the frameworks that works really well for those types of things, and that also includes mindfulness, is cognitive behavioral therapy. Have you ever heard of that?
Mm-mm.
So cognitive behavioral therapy is where we focus on changing your thoughts and the way that you think about certain things, and then that will help to change your behaviors. And with this therapy, we always set an agenda at the beginning of the session. We document the things that we want to remember from the session, and we kind of just look at your thoughts and how it is impacting your behavior. And it's been very effective for depression. So I'm hearing you say that you are having some depressive symptoms, which is something that we can look more into in future sessions to see if maybe you actually do qualify for a depression diagnosis. But regardless, we can work towards improving those depressive symptoms so you can live a more fulfilling life, and maybe change some thoughts around how overwhelmed you constantly feel and how you're dividing up your time as a parent. How does that all sound to you?
That sounds like a great idea.
Okay, awesome. So when is the best time for you to meet again? What do you want to meet once a week? Do you want to meet every other week?
I think every other week would be good.
Every other week? Okay, great. So the way that our next session is going to run is we're going to start by, again, setting an agenda, and I will tell you what we're going to talk about, and we will talk about some of the goals that you have for that session. And then again, at the end of the session, I will document some of the things that you would want to remember from the session, and you'll kind of just work through those thoughts or those reminders throughout the week. How does that sound?
Good.
Great. So just to summarize how our session went today we did talk, it was an evaluation session. It was not a regular therapy session, so we didn't work on any problem solving. Then we just kind of did a little assessment about what your daily life is like and some of the symptoms that brought you here to therapy. I then let you know that I think that you might be struggling with some depressive symptoms that we are going to work on through cognitive behavioral therapy. I know that this session was a lot of me talking, but the next sessions will be a lot more of you talking. And I always want to get your feedback on the session. If you feel I'm talking too much, if you feel that you didn't get the opportunity to say something. So I'd like to ask you now, is there anything that you would like to add that maybe I didn't get to hear this session, or maybe something that you don't feel comfortable saying just yet, but something I should know about you for future sessions? And there's no pressure to ever talk about it.
No, not at this moment.
Okay. Can you tell me one thing that you liked about today's session and maybe one thing that you didn't like?
I like that you were very thorough. You set out the expectations of what I should expect during this whole process. And I like that you gave it steps on what we're going to do first. And there's nothing that I didn't like.
Oh, well, that's great to hear. And if there is ever anything that you didn't like, I always value negative and positive feedback. And I look forward to working with you. Thank you, Noelle.
You're welcome.
Want to make your face?